Peru is responsible for just 0.1% of global carbon dioxide emissions. But its diverse geography and rich biodiversity means it's one of the countries suffering the most from the impacts of climate change. All areas are affected, from its fish-rich oceans alongside coastal deserts to its melting glaciers in Peru's Andes Mountains and its largest territory, the Amazon rainforest. More than 60% of Peru is jungle, but deforestation causes more than half of Peru's carbon emissions. So the idea is to bring value to the forest as it stands. In this Amazon nation, unlike more industrialized ones, deforestation is still the principal cause of carbon emissions. But international forestry programs are now making it more economically viable to keep a tree standing, even within a forestry concession. In Madre de Dios in Peru's southeastern Amazon, one timber company is going against the grain. Where tropical biodiversity has been ravaged by indiscriminate gold mining and illegal logging, Maderacre is trying to operate sustainably, says its forestry manager.
The idea is that through the storing of carbons in our natural forests, we can generate carbon credits, and by selling them, can reinvest that money into protecting the area we manage.
Companies buy the credits to offset their carbon footprint, enabling Maderacre to generate 10% of its profits through ecosystem services. For a company which makes money by selling wood, it's a novel sideline. It's also highly selective in the trees it harvests.
Finishing our operations this year, we've calculated that we felled 0.4 trees per hectare. That's less than half a tree. That's an average impact of 8% on the area, representing 220 out of a total of 6,000 hectares. It's a minimal impact.
Y tenemos un impacto o una degradación en toda nuestra área del 8%.
But in Peru's Amazon and tropical forests around the world, Forest Stewardship Council certified companies like Maderacre are the exception rather than the rule. Illegal logging is the norm in much of Peru's Amazon, as I saw firsthand in a recent investigation. Forestry inspectors showed us how they struggled to control its traffic along the mighty Amazon River, where we saw this barge load of cut timber.
This is approximately 600 to 700 cubic meters of timber. We know where this shipment came from. There's a variety of species here, but we have no way of knowing the exact origin of the wood, even if it has the correct paperwork.
As the barge sat alongside, I asked the local official in charge of inspecting passing timber shipments how much of it was illegal.
There's always been illegal logging, and we need much better logistical support to really combat it.
Later, we discovered Solano hadn't even left his office to check this substantial shipment. The millions of dollars of international funds dedicated to tackling illegal logging in Peru clearly weren't reaching this Amazon backwater. Further downriver, in a place called Islandia, on the frontier with Brazil, the situation was worse. By the time the timber arrives at this sawmill on Peru's Amazon border with Colombia and Brazil, it's practically untraceable. Any inconvenient details, such as where it came from, have been smoothed over as it was rubber stamped by Peruvian officials on its way here. With deforestation and other land use changes accounting for some 10% of annual global greenhouse gas emissions, there's growing pressure for governments to make commitments. Peru has committed to increasing by 5 million hectares the land titled to indigenous people to tackle its deforestation crisis by 2021.
There's no way we're going to stop deforestation without recognizing the rights of indigenous people. You know, they have historic rights over the majority of the remaining forest in the world and have customary use, and there's proven to be better protectors of that natural forest than governments or the private owners.
This pledge is pegged to $300 million of funding from Norway. But indigenous leaders in Peru are pushing for more land.
Our proposal is to give land titles to 1,170 communities across 20 million hectares, which will guarantee there won't be more deforestation causing global warming. That's our concrete proposal at this COP20.
And Peru has an edge. It's the most carbon-mapped nation in the world, thanks to the work of Carnegie Institute tropical ecologist Gregory ASNER. From his flying laboratory, he told CCTV why.
The Airborne Observatory is the absolute most accurate method ever invented for measuring carbon in tropical rainforests. What we're doing is we're giving policymakers and people involved in the carbon development or carbon policy process, we're giving them the measurements that make their process possible.
Using innovative technology, he's created a high-resolution carbon map of Peru, which puts carbon on the table as an actionable and accountable resource, just like minerals or oil. And from a strictly business perspective, with 69 million hectares of rainforest housing nearly 7 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide, Peru could offset the US's annual emissions. But the carbon market is still in its infancy in Peru, says Peru's Carbon Fund Director Alessandro Riva.
My job is to start feeding these companies with the information, telling them it's good for their brands, it's good to be good to the environment, and not just doing a little stuff, like really caring, really doing. Because my point of view, it helps getting more clients.
A handful of Peruvian corporations, including insurance companies and a major travel agency, are buying credits to cancel their carbon footprints. Peru is not yet a country where offsetting emissions is a corporate priority, but it has the potential to become a world leader in carbon management.
America's Now.